Good day, all, and thank you for joining our close of play press conference on the fifth day of the third and final test of the 2020 Sandals Tour of England Raise the Bat Test Series between England and the West Indies. Obviously, we join you today disappointed to be coming out of the series as losers. However, our captain Jason Holder has made himself available to speak to the media, and we're looking forward to fielding questions from you for about 15 minutes. And it's going to be on a first come, first served basis. Obviously, trying to service the English media firstly, who are trying to meet press times. Without much further ado, because I think that everyone is familiar with the protocol for asking questions, I'm going to invite you guys to begin showing indications of questions in the Zoom group chat, and we'll proceed in chronological order. Julian Geyer.
Hello, Jason. Can I just ask for your feelings, having started the series so well, to end up losing it? And what do you think the big difference was in the end? Was it just the top order batting?
Yeah, we were obviously disappointed to lose the series. Yeah, we had quite a few positives in the series. Just probably a few more conversions from the starts that we got would have done us a lot better. I felt the bowlers really tried, particularly here in Manchester, where the conditions were pretty tough at times. But yeah, we also didn't field as well as we probably could have, and those things that we can definitely control.
Thank you.
Ali Martin, please proceed.
Oh, hi, Jason. There's obviously been quite an outpouring of gratitude for you guys making the trip over and making this series happen in the first place. And I think there's a lot of well-wishers pretty much around the whole of English cricket on that front. But I just wondered whether, is there any ideas that you have in sort of practical terms as to how that could be repaid, the ways that English cricket could perhaps help West Indies cricket looking ahead?
Yeah, it's a good question. Funny enough, in speaking to our CEO, Johnny Grave, he's probably highlighted that we really only make money from playing England and I think India. We probably break even with Australia, Pakistan, and all the rest of the series we play at a major loss to the organization. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen after this series in terms of the international calendar, but more or less, I mean, if there is an opportunity perhaps for England to come over to the Caribbean before the end of the year, I'm sure that would help significantly with Cricket West Indies financial records. Yeah, it's been a tough last couple years in West Indies cricket financially. And pretty much more or less we've had to take a pay cut as well due to the difficult circumstances we've been facing financially. So yeah, a tour hopefully, if it's possible, before the end of the 2020 would probably put us in really good stead, or probably keep us afloat, as an organization.
I think we'd all like that as well. I just wondered whether you'd like to possibly see more players from the Caribbean get a chance in county cricket, because they could obviously, it's benefited a lot of players in previous years.
Yeah, that's something that would definitely help our cricket as well too, and obviously give our players a bit more exposure. At the moment, some of the rules for overseas players are a bit stringent, and I think more or less you have to play international cricket to qualify as an overseas player in county cricket. Yeah, if we could get more players over here, that would definitely put us in better stead. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. I think basically in these trying times, maybe only England, Australia, India could probably host cricket. Outside of that, the smaller territories, struggling financially to get cricket on. If you look at the financial strain put the ECB under into hosting this tour, having to help costs, bringing us over here, charter flights, hotel accommodation, it's probably a very hefty bill. I don't think many other countries around the world could do that, particularly us in the Caribbean would probably struggle to put that on. But again, that's another challenge that we're faced with.
Thanks very
much. Matt Roller, please proceed.
Hi, Jason. You mentioned in the presentation sort of coming back up to Manchester and being a bit worn out mentally. In the first test, it sort of seemed as though coming over here as early as you did was a real positive and helped you hit the ground running. Did we maybe see the other side of that in this test?
It's hard to say really, man. Yeah, we've been kept indoors for the last 2 months. Yeah, the guys haven't seen a bit of real life for a bit. But yeah, outside that, it's tough to constantly get up. You know, you open your curtains and you just see the cricket ground. You're not hopping on the bus as you normally would do, and at least see, you know, some kind of pedestrian or anyone outside of that. But yeah, it has been challenging mentally. I think a lot of our guys have felt it, you know, and coming closer to home obviously probably gets a little bit more difficult. But more or less, I think the guys have done outstandingly well in terms of keeping their focus. You know, the last test match, obviously we were probably outplayed, but I think the test series, we've had a lot of positives in this test series, you know, whether it be wickets, runs. And yeah, I think generally as a group, we've shown signs of improvement as well.
Rory Dollard, please proceed.
Jason, obviously, main focus is on the guys who are here with you. But in terms of the difference between the two teams, do you think if there was another series between the teams and you had Hetmeyer and Bravo and Paul, would that give you as a captain just one or two more options to maybe rotate the team around and keep fresh?
No, you know, I was very happy with the team that we've got here. The 15 players that we brought over here as part of our test team, I'm happy with. There's no guarantee that Bravo, Hetmeyer or Paul would have played. You know, the way we've gone as a batting unit, particularly, we haven't had the consistency that we were looking for. If you look at the three players that you called, just no two of them were batsmen, so there's no guarantee. Akeem or Paul has pretty much been a backup towards what we've had here so far. So, look, I think the squad we've got here was the squad to do it. You know, I'm happy the guys came. I'm really happy the work they put in prior to the tour, and just unfortunate the way it has finished. But more or less, you know, there's still lots of positives to give for this group.
Andrew Miller.
Hi, Jason. A lot was said early on in the test about just how challenging this particular four-pronged attack that England had for English conditions. You know, obviously Anderson and Broad in particular, but Chris Wokes' record over here is pretty impressive. I mean, you know, having faced it and obviously struggled with the bat against it. I mean, how does it compare to the sort of attacks on the sort of challenge you get in other parts of the world?
Look, England bowled well. Yeah, credit to England. That same attack came over to the Caribbean, more or less, and it was probably a different ball game there. You know, you're going to have series that are better than some. You know, particularly our last series we won it against Afghanistan. This series we didn't. You know, that's just the way it goes. You know, you must give where credit is due. And yeah, again, if you look at our team, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, we've done well. You know, I'm not that disappointed with the overall group. Yes, we will be disappointed with the result, but yeah, England is a really good side in their backyards. Their statistics will show that. You know, not many teams come out here and beat England in England. So to sit and debate, you know, attacks here in a way, to me is a bit indifferent, but. Yeah, I just would give England credit for the cricket that they've played and say well played to them.
Tim Wigmore. Tim, we're not hearing you. I'm not sure if you neglected to unmute your microphone, but I'm not hearing you, Tim. All right, Tim seems to be having a technical difficulty. We move on to a question from Mr. David Brooke.
Oh yeah, hi Jason. Two bowlers have had big landmarks during this series, Kemar Roach and Stuart Broad. Just want to get your perspective on those two.
Outstanding. I'll start with Kemar, 200 wickets, and you know, definitely in the top 10 West Indies fast bowlers of all time in terms of his stats. And you just see the effort he puts on the cricket field. Again, I can't think of any time I've ever called on Kemar and he has said no or he's not up for it. You know, he always keeps running in and giving it a massive effort. You know, and it's no doubt or no surprise that Kemar has produced what he has so far. And to Stuart Broad, you know, hardest congratulations to Brody. You know, I kind of felt for him, you know, when he was left out in the first test match, you know, because it was a massive shock to me because we all know the caliber of bowler he is, you know, to play 140 test matches and get 500 wickets at 28 apiece, striking out, I think 56 or 57, somewhere around there. It's kind of strange you would leave him out, you know, particularly in these conditions where he's born and bred. So I just want to really personally congratulate Stuart. He's had a fantastic career so far, and to take 500 wickets in any cricket, let alone the highest cricket in Test cricket, you know, is an excellent achievement.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, Tim. I think Tim Wigmore is back in the chat and ready. So Tim, please proceed.
Hi, sorry, Jason. There's been some talk from Johnny, your CEO, about away teams getting a fifth of broadcasting rights that the home team gets, because, as you said, you don't really get any money for touring England. Is that something that you would support?
Definitely. I think now more than ever would really highlight the differences in the revenue scale when it comes to international cricket. You know, England get a huge chunk of money. Australia, you know, they can stand on their 2 feet, and obviously England's a powerhouse. You know, outside of those top three nations, you know, pretty much most other nations would struggle. You know, we particularly are having a massive difficulty in trying to fund our cricket, and not only fund international cricket, but, you know, every single age group level cricket, you know, our 18 programs, our development programs, and it has been a difficult situation. You know, as I said before, we pretty much only gain from hosting England and India. All of the series we may operate at breaking even, or more often than not, we have a massive loss. So we're always looking for ways to make some kind of revenue in the markets that we have in the Caribbean. That haven't really been that fruitful in terms of gaining commercial revenue. And I guess it's definitely something that needs to be definitely seriously looked at from the powers that be. As I said before, I don't think there's any other series that could have played during COVID with all the lockdowns. You know, the additional cost of hosting the series is massive. You know, and particularly in the Caribbean, we would have struggled to having to put out any or having to host another team in the Caribbean, any team in the Caribbean. Had not been for any financial support. So yes, this is me personally putting up a case for a look at the revenue distribution, particularly from ICC, and to seeing how better we can support, you know, the quote unquote smaller countries in world cricket.
And are you worried if that doesn't happen, the gap could actually just increase more and more?
Look, if it doesn't happen, if something doesn't happen soon enough, you know, we could see less cricket being played, less international cricket being played from the smaller countries, because you just simply can't afford it. You could see maybe we've gone from having 4-5 match series, we're down to 2 and 3, and it's very, very difficult to host anything more than that for us, particularly in the Caribbean. So yeah, it is a serious dilemma that we're faced with, and I think the relevant personnel need to really sit down and really have a look at it.
Marshall Hewitt.
Hi, Jason. The standout batsman on the West Indies side in terms of averages was Jermaine Blackwood across the series, and Jermaine had just come off an excellent domestic season where he topped the charts in the first-class tournament. And I'm just wondering what your views are on how we can better schedule our cricket so that, because what you often find is so much has been spoken about Shea Hope, etc. But if you're selected in the West Indies ODI team or the Test team and say you're across formats, you can hardly ever be home to play in the domestic tournament. So do you feel that there's something that can be done to better schedule our cricket, the finances notwithstanding, of course, to better schedule our cricket so more of the test players can get to benefit from playing the domestic tournaments?
I don't think there's anything more that can be done, particularly again for us in the Caribbean. We don't have the bargaining power to dictate when and where we can play series. There's a future tourist program in place, and more or less we've got to make sure that we're strategic and planning our cricket and trying to do it in the best possible way. I'm a perfect example of our system where I haven't had the opportunity to play much first-class cricket in a while. This year was the first class game I've probably played in a couple of years. And I captain the West Indies cricket team. It is what it is. I think we just got to find creative ways to keep finding some money to pump into our development programs so that we can see more people like Jermaine Blackwood having that opportunity to play cricket, and not only having the opportunity to play cricket at the first class level, but having a franchise system in place that could harness and develop talent. At the moment, a lot of our franchises rely solely on financial distributions from Cricket West Indies, and none of them can stand on their own. So, yeah, it is a dilemma that we're faced with, but I think we're trying to put our heads together to find the best possible solution.
Thank you, Jason.
We're going to take 3 more questions, so hopefully you guys can keep it brief, and then we're going to end today's engagement. So we're going to move on to a question from Gavin Richards.
Good day, Captain. Tough luck on the result in the series. I know you've downplayed this before as it relates to the rankings with Ben Stokes and yourself. But, Stokes did enjoy the better of the series. Any comments on that as, maybe you felt did you think that you could have maybe done more to help get West Indies over the line? Are you satisfied with your performance overall?
I have nothing to say on the rivalry. My personal performance, yes, I would have liked at least a bit more runs. I think a ball well. But yeah, I would probably say short of a few runs in this series.
Nikhil?
Yeah, hello, Jason. Harla again. On a more positive note, I just want to ask, obviously, this is one of the first times we've carried such a big squad away. And to have the reserves there, I know you've spoken about how much of a benefit it was. In terms of the future of West Indies cricket, we've got a good crop playing currently, and then you've got the Joshua De Silva, Shane Mosley, Shamar Hola, etc. How would you say the future lies, and being with some of these younger guys, how have you enjoyed the experience, and where do you see, as I said, the future lies for West Indies cricket in the future?
Like I would say, thoroughly enjoyed the experience. It is the first time I've probably had the opportunity to mingle with more or less the 18 players. Again, I haven't played much first class cricket in the last couple of years. But more or less, it just shows you that we need more of these environments in West Indies cricket. It reminds me kind of the academy, which we had set up, the Performance Center in the Caribbean. And I was a recipient of that. And, for me, it really put me in the right direction in terms of my career. I actually made a comment earlier around our first class cricket. Maybe we should probably look to have less franchise games and then probably narrow it down to 4 teams to play, or 4 the best for the best teams, comprising cricketers who would play in that first class competition. And then we have more structured high performance camps around those 4 teams. And then you basically pick your test team and 8 teams from it. I think structurally we could look at a few things and play around a few things to make the overall picture better. But I think the beauty about this tour and having 25 players on tour is that we had pretty intense sessions. The intensity was definitely at a high in practice. And, guys had the opportunity to come over here and learn. I think we need more of these programs in the Caribbean. Again, it all boils back down to finances. I'm not sure right now if Cricket West Indies could afford to have an academy or something similar to like a Loughborough here in England, but that is definitely something that I believe would help Cricket West Indies. If we could find some way to have some high performance programs and having our players, migrate through it and into it, and hopefully that could help harness and really develop the talent that we have. We've never been short of talent, so it's more or less what we're doing with it.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the final question of today's session, which will be posed by Mr. Zahir Clark. Zahir, please proceed.
Hi, Jason. Good day again. If this series has turned out differently, West Indies had the opportunity to move up to, I think, 5th or 6th in the ICC Test team rankings, not the World Test Championship table. You had said last year that you believe the team could finish in the top half of the World Test Championship table. How disappointed are you guys with the series result? And do you believe you guys can still move up the rankings in the Test team rankings and also the World Test Championship table?
Yeah, we're disappointed with the result, but I still stick to what I've said before. I still think this team has got what it takes to at least be mid-tier in the World Test Championship and obviously move up the rankings. And we've seen it, we've seen glimpses of it throughout this entire series. We've seen glimpses of it in the last series against Afghanistan, the previous series before that against, I think it was India and England. The difficulty with us, I guess, is that we've only played 2 series so far in the World Test Championship. Which would have been India, and now this one against England. So we still got lots of series pending to play. Hopefully we can get them in. But I think more or less, we're not down, we're not out. We've got lots of cricket to play. I think England probably played maybe 2 or 3 series more than us. India the same thing, and we've only played 2 series so far. So still got a lot of series left to be played. Our next series was meant to be South Africa, but personally probably don't think that's gonna come off this year particularly. So we'll wait and see when our next series after that is meant to be. Maybe perhaps New Zealand at the end of the year if things could change and look up.
Guys, I just want to take Jason still being here, because I know as soon as I relieve him, a lot of you will sign out. But I want to take this time to just say thanks to all of my colleagues in the media for accepting me as a part of this family. Obviously, this was a very unique and historic tour where we had to do things quite differently. So obviously we weren't able to meet in person, but you guys have really been amazing and really made this job significantly easier for me. I appreciate every single one of you that's signed into these Zoom conferences on a daily basis, and every one of you that have reached out for interviews, whether it be written or whether it be video interviews with the players. We really appreciate the coverage from myself and the entire family of Cricket West Indies. Hopefully, we'll be working in close proximity again soon. As Jason mentioned, hopefully England will be able to tour the Caribbean sometime in the near future also. But I just want to say that genuinely from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the Cricket West Indies family, thank you. Thank you for all of the coverage. Thank you for reaching out if there are any outstanding requests. I'm sorry, it's obviously been a very busy tour, but you guys have just been amazing, and I really, really appreciate it. So the captain can just say bye now, and we will sign off of this, our final press conference of this tour, because we do travel back to the Caribbean tomorrow. So thanks, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evenings from myself and Cricket West Indies.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right.